went to bleeding races, 'twas on the 9th of June, 1862 on a summer's afternoon. I took the bus to Bamberley's and she was heavy laden. Away we went along CALLUM Street, that's on the road to bleeding.
You're watching TOON Army TV. So this Wednesday, it's the match preview between Bournemouth and my club, Newcastle United, at the Vitality Stadium. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff live on Sky Sports. Going into the match from a Newcastle fan's point of view, I'll talk about Newcastle and then I'll talk about Bournemouth in the second part of this preview, so stay tuned if you are a Bournemouth fan. It's going to be a difficult game for both parties, both Newcastle and Bournemouth. And the reason why I say it's going to be a difficult game for us is because we come off the back of a very disappointing defeat to Manchester City in the FA Cup. We got knocked out 2-0 and we went out with a whimper. We didn't really try in the game. We went with a complete wrong formation. And what is the confidence going to be like of the lads? Well, it's not going to be very high, is it? It's going to be very low. And Bournemouth is a long way to go. Is there much more to play for in the season? Well, one half says yes and one half says no. The reason why I say yes is because we can still go for the top 10. We could still try and pick up as many points as possible. We still need to try and mathematically make sure that we're in the Premier League next season. We're currently on 39 points, as you can see in the Premier League table. We're 14th place in the league after a few results went against us over the weekend. But then you would say at the same time, we'll look okay. And the lads know that we're safe for next season. And a lot of them are probably going to move on, if not the majority of the players, because who knows what's going to happen with the so-called takeover. Everything at the minute is just up in the air. There's no communication. And yesterday was, for me, I wouldn't say I've thrown the towel in. Well, actually, let's just say I have thrown the towel in. I think the season's pretty much done now. It's how many points we can pick up. And it is a shame the way it all happened yesterday, because we had a real opportunity to get into the semis. I know it was Manchester City, but the way we set about the game, the way we played, just as if we'd thrown the towel in, man. And that's not what you should be doing in the FA Cup quarter-final. And now we're just left with these 7 games of the season, starting off with Bournemouth on Wednesday. Don't get us wrong, they're going to make it difficult for us because they need to stay in the Premier League. This will be a game where they'll be looking at it's Newcastle. They haven't now got much to play for, and they are desperate for the 3 points. But for us, we must get back to winning ways, because the game against Aston Villa last Wednesday wasn't good enough. When you're at home, you've got to win your home games, especially against clubs like Aston Villa, who are in the relegation zone. And I could sort of let Steve Bruce off for the 1-1 draw, knowing that we're going to the Man City game and play better, and we didn't. And I haven't seen that, and it's been a poor last couple of games. We're not, or haven't been on the same standards as what we were against Sheffield United. And you could say, well, you know, they were down to 10 men and it helped. But the thing is, you've got to keep that consistency going. And that's been our problem throughout the whole season. And that's why we find ourselves, you know, stuck in mid-table. And I'm just disappointed that Steve Bruce went with 5 at the back. And against Bournemouth, I don't want to see the 5 at the back anymore. I want to see the formation that's been working. So if there's any Bournemouth fans watching, we actually go with the 4-2-3-1 formation, where St. Maximin and Almiron can be a bit more lively and get up the field and do something, whereas if we play the 5 at the back, we're just defending for the majority of the game, and we're best players who I've just mentioned aren't really in the game, and it's frustrating to watch at times. And that's been the formation that's been getting us the joy in terms of the points. It's the formation that's got where we are now, because if we hadn't have changed the formation to the 4-2-3-1 formation, then I think we'd be stuck where yous are. Yeah, the relegation zone. And if you look at our form going into this game, obviously we beat Sheffield United 3-0, a fantastic result. We drew 1-1 with Aston Villa, which, if you look at it, it's an extra point, but we should be picking up all 3. And we have also been beaten in the quarterfinals by Manchester City 2-1. So from those last 2 Premier League games, we've picked up 4 points, which is a decent, you know, start to the Project Restart. But you know, we should be looking now to pick up more against Bournemouth on Wednesday. There's no excuses. Again, another club in the relegation zone who, you know, need the points. And if we go with the right formation and we're set about the game the way we should be against the likes of Sheffield United, then we'll give ourselves a chance. of going to Bournemouth and winning the game, but it will be a tough ask. Now, the formation for the game on Wednesday, I'm going to go with the 4-2-3-1 formation. So in net, Martin Dubravka. At left back, Danny Rose. At right back, Javier Manquillo. At centre back, captain Jamal Lascelles. And alongside him, Federico Fernandez. At left mid, Alan St. Maximin. At right mid, Matt Ritchie. If he is injured, then I will go with Lazaro. In the midfield, first up, Isaac Hayden. And alongside him, Jonjo Shelvey. In the cam role, Miggy Almiron. And up front, Joe Linton. So that is my starting 11 for the game on Wednesday night. What would you go with? I think that is the squad we should be going with. The one that beat Sheffield United 3-0. I want to see a more attacking formation. I want to see a better performance from the lads. Something that we didn't see on Sunday and something we didn't see a week ago on Wednesday. Now we're going to jump into Bournemouth. So Bournemouth are currently 18th in the Premier League. They are in the relegation zone and they're currently on 27 points. They're only in the relegation zone on goal difference to West Ham. And Bournemouth are not having a good season by their standards. They've done well to have had as many seasons that they've had. I think this is now their 5th season in the Premier League and they'll be looking to try and make it a 6th, but they have got a lot to do. I think they've surprised themselves with the squad that they've got, that they're in the relegation zone and they've only picked up the points that they've got, because on paper Bournemouth have got a decent squad, but I think the players this season have let them down. They've also had injuries as well, which haven't helped them, and they've got to try and start picking up points now, and they'll be looking at this game as a must-win 3 points. And that's no disrespect to us. They're not disrespecting us in any way as a Newcastle fan speaking here. They're more looking at a case of they need the points. It would be the same for us if we were taking on Bournemouth and we were in Bournemouth's situation and they know that we haven't got too much to play for apart from picking up the points and finishing top 10. We're not going to get Europe, so Bournemouth now will be thinking, right, we need to get these 3 points, because if we don't, then it really could be relegation confirmed. So, and plus they know that we've got a long way to travel and they'll be using that to their advantage. Now, with Bournemouth, they know they've only got 7 games left, so they've got to try and start making every game count from their point of view. And if you look at their last 2 results, they haven't picked up any points from the Project Restart. They did lose 2-0 at home to Crystal Palace. A disappointing game, a game which they weren't really in. Crystal Palace were far too good for them on that evening. And then the last Premier League game, they took on Wolves at Molineux and lost 1-0. I've seen the highlights and it was a bit of a scrappy goal for them to concede. You could say it was a good header by Jimenez, but I would say it's scrappy because they should deal with it a lot better. And they made that look very easy when, again, they should do better. And that's been their problem this season. Bournemouth conceding a lot of goals, not scoring enough goals. And if you don't get that right, then unfortunately you are going to be dragged in the relegation zone, unfortunately, and that's where they remain today. The manager, Eddie Howe, I think he's a good manager. I think he sets up, really well. I think he goes with the 4-2-3-1 formation, which is a good formation. I like to call it the Christmas tree formation, if you can see it on the screen there. And with that formation, it gives Bournemouth the freedom to attack. It's very similar to the formation that we go out with, apart from they use 3 at the back rather than 2 to protect their defence, but they're still leaking in goals. That's the problem. Do they need to revert to a new formation? Possibly. But if it's working for Bournemouth, it's working for them. And with Bournemouth, they know that with Eddie Howe, they've got a safe pair of hands and a good manager. But he's also been questioning himself this sort of season to say, is he going to be there next season? Is Bournemouth now, is it that time to go down because he's kept them in the Premier League for so long? Well, he hasn't thrown in the towel. He wants to really go for it and keep Bournemouth up. He can do it. I think he's a good manager, Eddie Howe. He knows how to get results, and he's always grounded. He never sort of gets ahead of himself. He's always that type of manager who wants the very best out of his players. And there's a lot of players who speak highly of Eddie Howe, and you could say, for example, Matt Ritchie, who's at Newcastle. You could say that Eddie Howe made Matt Ritchie into a very good player, to the player that he is today, a real leader. And players, it is difficult to say if they are playing for him or not, or if they're playing for a career elsewhere, because they know Bournemouth are a small club. But it is difficult for Bournemouth. It is going to be difficult long end of the season for them to stay in the Premier League. But if they play that game and they start taking results seriously, games seriously, then they give themselves that chance. But the results have to be there for them. Players to watch out for on the Bournemouth side. First up, I've gone with Callum Wilson. He's got 9 goals for Bournemouth this season. So in the formation that they've been playing, they've been putting Wilson up front on his own, and he's managed to get 9 goals. They were probably expecting more from Callum Wilson, but that's decent, for a striker. You always expect between 10 and 15 goals, and he'll be looking to try and get a few more on Wednesday night. Next up, I've gone with Harry Wilson. He has got 7 goals for Bournemouth this season. Not bad of a return for Harry Wilson, who will be looking for more goals on Wednesday night. I've also gone with Philip Billing from the midfield. He's got 3 goals for Bournemouth this season. He was a signing from Huddersfield Town when they got relegated last season. What have I thought of Philip Billing? I think he's been okay. I think they were probably expecting a bit more from him for the money that they paid for him. But listen, he's only a young lad, and I'm sure he'll get better over time. Whether Bournemouth stay in the Premier League or not, he's a decent player for them. Next up, I've gone with the defender Nathan Ake. He's got 2 goals this season, but that doesn't say he's not a threat like Jamal Lascelles from set pieces. So when there's sort of a corner, or if there's like a free kick for Bournemouth, I'm sure he'll be putting himself in the box to try and nod Bournemouth ahead, or try and get them that goal that's going to win them the game. So he's going to be a powerful centre back, somebody to watch out for on the game for Wednesday. Next up, I've gone with Dan Gosling, ex-Mag, who has got 2 goals for Bournemouth this season. Not his best season. I think he played a lot better last season, but I would say Dan Gosling is getting on a bit now, and they've probably missed his experience over the season because I'm sure he's had injury problems, if I'm not wrong. 2 goals isn't enough for Bournemouth in that area from the centre of midfield. And I've also gone with Ramsdale, the goalkeeper, who I think on his day can produce some great saves. So we're going to have to be on it, to try and get past him, because with that keeper there, they've got a keeper who can play for England in the future, who I think he's come through the Bournemouth Academy. He's really made a name for himself this season. Yes, there's been a few mistakes that he's made. It's not just down to him to the reason why they're in the relegation zone. It's his debut season. But he is a top goalkeeper, and he can become an even better goalkeeper over time. It depends where he is next season, because if Bournemouth go down, I can't see him staying there unless he decides to stay there. I think he is good enough to play in the Premier League with a different club. That's only if Bournemouth go down. Now, that is the players to watch out for Bournemouth. But all in all, for the game on Wednesday, we're going to have to go for it. There's no point just sitting back and just accepting that the season's over from a Newcastle fan's point of view. We need to get in their faces. We did beat them 2-1 earlier in the season. We did fall behind, but then we did get 2 goals to win it, and we've already picked up 3 points. Why can't we make it a double? We've came close a couple of times where we've had a couple of draws. We have beaten them under Steve McLaren, 1-0 back in the 15-16 season. Very lucky to get 3 points in that one, if I'm honest. Bournemouth dominated, but listen, it's a game which we should be getting something from. We should be looking to try and get all 3 points, but a point wouldn't be a disaster. If we got a draw, then it would put 140. You would say, yeah, that season done. But then 42 points would definitely confirm season done with, a win. Now, score prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. We should be going to Bournemouth and winning. And I feel like we've got enough in the side to do that. And I think the players owe us a performance after yesterday. I think Steve Bruce owes us a performance from the players after the way he set up against Manchester City, which wasn't good enough. So Bournemouth, for me, will probably lose this game, but they need something from it. And if we play our game, I think we've got enough to get something from them. So that is my preview for the game on Wednesday. Let me know your score predictions down below. If you are a new subscriber watching for the first time, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up. Follow me on social media, TOON TV. All links down below in the description, all Instagram and Twitter. So follow me on that. And all I will leave you with is, how are the lads? Keep it tuned. Cheerio. Hey, hey,